You know those group chats that accidentally add a wrong number and it gets like really awkward in there for a few minutes before you like kick that number out? Now imagine that group chat is all of our top national security officials planning a military strike, and you're the journalist that just got added to it by accident. Well, that's exactly what happened. This story came out about an hour ago. The title is just pure gold. The Trump admin accidentally texted me its war plans. Whoops. So this whole story is by Jeffrey Goldberg, who is the one who accidentally got added to the group chat. He's the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. He got added to this chat. He thought it was fake for a long time. And then they started texting about a specific military strike a few hours before it happened. And then he saw it actually unfold on the news and he realized, oh crap, I'm in a real group chat here. I'm recording this on March 24th. This all happened on March 15th. He was in the group chat since March 11th. He was invited by Michael Waltz to a Signal group chat. Hey, remember how I just did a whole video about how I think that Signal is the most secure messenger? Well, it literally doesn't matter if you just add people to it. No hacking involved. Added somebody and just like didn't check who was in the group before you started talking about military plans. All right, so Signal group chat, obviously very secure and encrypted, literally doesn't matter, added someone who shouldn't have been reading this. And this journalist is like, hey, I think this is Michael Waltz, President Trump's national security advisor. He was kind of confused why he got a request, but journalists often publish their Signal information so that people can securely give them tips or anonymous tips or something like that. He said, I have met him in the past. It wasn't particularly strange that he was reaching out to me, but it was somewhat unusual. The other thing that was top of mind to this journalist this whole time, and kudos for this because it's a very real possibility, is that somehow this was all fake and some sort of disinformation entrapment campaign. He accepted the request, expecting that he was going to get some sort of chats about Ukraine or Iran or something else. So then 2 days later, Thursday, so this is March 13th, this is not that long ago, 11 days ago, instead of getting a direct message request from that Michael Waltz person, he got added to a group chat called Houthi PC Small Group. Michael Waltz said, team establishing a principals group for coordination on Houthis, particularly for over the next 72 hours. My deputy, Alex Wan, is pulling together a Tiger team, deputies/agency chief of staff level, following up from the meeting in the sit room this morning for action items, and we'll be sending that out later this evening. Please provide staff best point of contact for your team. He pauses and says, okay, PC is probably principals committee, generally referring to a group of the senior most national security officials, and goes on to just say like, hey, in my years of reporting on national security, I've never been added to a PC group. Then all of a sudden the replies started coming in. The first one was from Mar, who he thinks is Marco Rubio. And these people are all giving them their points of contact from their staff to like coordinate with all of this. So Mike Needlem for state, and then a Signal user identified as JD Vance wrote Andy Baker for VP. And then someone whose name was TG, maybe Tulsi Gabbard, wrote Joe Kent, and the Treasury, and so on and so on. And the reporter actually even redacted some of the names from the people that were responding to this because he looked them up and said, hey, this is an active intelligence officer that just got named in this group. So he didn't include it in the report. But if these names are to be believed in this group, and to this point, this reporter does not believe that this group is real. He's potentially sitting in a Signal group chat with JD Vance, VP, Tulsi Gabbard, head of Treasury, head of DOD. You got Pete Hegseth in here for DOD, National Security, CIA. So top officials, if their contact name in Signal is to be believed. There were 18 people in this text group to begin with, and he appeared on screen as JG. So that was the whole Thursday chain. Like I said, he doesn't believe this group at this point. He says, I have very strong doubts that this text group is even real because I could not believe that national security leadership of the US would communicate on Signal about this kind of action, and he could not believe that he would be sitting in this group unnoticed. The text continues the next day, Friday, March 14th, 10 days ago is the time of I'm recording this. It says, team, you should have a statement of conclusions with tasks per the president's guidance this morning in your high side inboxes. Apparently, high side is government speak referring to classified computer and communication systems, which they should probably be using and not Signal. He said at this point, there was a fascinating policy discussion that commenced. JD Vance said, hey, I'm in Michigan, but I think we're making a few mistakes. The reporter points out, like, hey, Vance does not publicly break from Trump on a lot of this stuff. So in this back channel group, to disagree with what some of the actions being suggested by the president were was interesting to this reporter. Says, hey, I'm not sure that the president is aware of how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. He goes on to say that, hey, this might risk higher oil prices and all sorts of other things. Someone in the group named Joe Kent, which might be Trump's nominee to run the National Counterterrorism Center, responded and said, hey, there's nothing time sensitive about this. We could kick this issue down the can about a month. They go back and forth. It's super interesting if you want to go read the whole article, but the more important part here is Hegseth chimes in, says, hey, number one risk of kicking it down the can is this information leaking that we're talking about right here in front of a reporter. Says, hey, if we want to kick it down, we can handle it. If we do, I will do all I can to ensure 100% OPSEC, which means Operation Security. Vance is basically saying, hey, Hegseth, if you think we should go, just go. Again, this is talking about military action. Then the account label Hegseth says, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. But Mike is correct. We're the only ones on the planet on our side of the ledger who can do anything about this. No one else is even close. The question is just timing. I feel like now is as good a time as any. Here's the actual screenshot from the Signal group. They're talking about some military activity from the Houthis in the Suez Canal, if you're unfamiliar with what was going on over there. And then SM, who this reporter thinks might be Stephen Miller, says, as I heard it, the president was clear, green light, but as soon as we make it clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. So the reporter at this point is saying, hey, these texts, their word choice, their attitude about everything, it's like incredibly convincing. So it sounds like this is being written by the people who their contact names allege them to be, or a very good AI text generator. He was still concerned that this could be a disinformation op, and he remained mystified that no one in the group seemed to notice that he was sitting there while they were talking about all this. So then Saturday, March 15th, 9 days ago, is when he said it took a turn. Pete Hegseth posted a team update, which this reporter did not include in this article because it included full military detail of this operation. So if he wasn't just a reporter for The Atlantic who had a moral compass, the information shared in this team update could have absolutely been used to harm American military and intelligence personnel. So he doesn't post the whole message, but what he says is, what I will say in order to illustrate the shocking recklessness of the Signal conversation is that the Hegseth post contained operational detail of the forthcoming strikes on Yemen, including information about targets, weapons the U.S. would be deploying, and attack sequencing. The only reply from that was from the account labeled JD Vance that said, I will say a prayer for victory, and two other people responded with prayer emojis. So this was a few hours before the strike was going to happen, so the reporter said, all right, now is as good a time as any to see if the group chat that I've been sitting in for a few days is real. And he turned on the headlines, he pulled up X, made a search for Yemen, and all of a sudden got notifications that explosions were starting. He went back to the group, and there was a whole bunch of just good jobs, applause, and emojis saying, well done team on the military op. At this point, the reporter says, oh crap, this group is absolutely real. This is not AI generated. This is not an op. And he leaves the group, knowing that this would probably notify the people. If you've ever left a Signal group or been a part of a group that someone leaves, it says, hey, so-and-so left the group. So he leaves the group. He emails a bunch of people in the group and says, hey, is this Houthi PC small group a genuine Signal thread? Then a spokesperson for the National Security Council says, this appears to be an authentic message chain. We are reviewing how an inadvertent number was added to the chain. This is unreal, right? He's like, I can't believe that this happened. First of all. Second of all, a bunch of the messages in the Signal were set to self-destruct. Some of them after a week, some of them after 4 days or 4 weeks. I don't know what he means here. But this raises the question, are these officials violating federal records law? Text messages about official acts are considered records that should be preserved. He goes on to say, under the records law applicable to the White House and federal agencies, all government employees are prohibited from using electronic messaging applications such as Signal for official business unless those messages are promptly forwarded or copied to an official government account. So that raises a whole bunch of eyebrows. Then I absolutely love the last line of this article. It says, all along, members of the Signal group were aware of the need for secrecy and operational security. In his text detailing aspects of the forthcoming attack on the Houthi targets, Hegseth wrote to the group, which at the time included me, we are currently clean on OPSEC. I don't know. I think we are currently clean on OPSEC would at least review the members of the group chat that you're currently sitting in and talking about this whole operation to. So this story is about an hour old at the time of recording this. I am imagining some headlines in the next few days are going to include something about Signal being breached, a Signal group being hacked, and it's going to get added to the pile of people that don't know what they're talking about saying that Signal is insecure. All that happened here was the admin of this very secure chat that probably shouldn't have existed to begin with added someone they didn't mean to. I'm glad that person was a reporter, so we got to read about it, first of all. Second of all, obviously had a moral compass enough to, once they realized it was real, remove themselves from that group chat. Who knows how long they would have gone undetected seeing the details of future military operations. So kudos to Jeffrey Goldberg for keeping above the bar on this whole thing, preserving all of the evidence and showing us all about it. Listen, we've had email scandals on different servers. We've had classified documents in garages and bathrooms. But this is a whole different genre of screw up. We used an unapproved chat mechanism for official operations, accidentally added a journalist and who knows who else, planned a military strike on it, and sent prayer emojis, fire emojis, and flag emojis when it went down. And the only reason we all know about it is because the person they accidentally added was gracious enough to tell us about it.